Press record. All right, I think everyone is on, which is exciting. Okay, so again, you're on mute. You can chat me. You can chat each other. If you have any questions, ambassadors, you can unmute yourselves and hop in at any time, and I will call upon you guys as we go through this. All right, so here we go. Why did we start this alumni committee? The reason we started this committee was because we are in now year 3 of the program, and as we're growing, we need help. We need help expanding the program. We need help providing customer service, recruiting participants. We have 3 full-time staff, and we will probably be anywhere between 350 to 400 participants for next year. So that's a lot of people, and we want them to feel like rock stars throughout the whole experience, and we want them to feel engaged and stick with the program. And that was really why we came up with the alumni committee. And we had these awesome individuals who participated in the program last year, and they were the ones who were fundraising, but then also providing feedback and ideas. It's a group of individuals who had amazing ideas and went above and beyond for our program. And when we sent out the application, they sent back fantastic ideas, but also great constructive feedback for us. And that's what we really are looking for. We're looking for people to kind of challenge us and push our program to the next level. So kind of the science and the fun geekiness behind this whole program, and the ambassadors know me well enough that I try to throw some fundraising education their way at all times. If I had it my way, I'd have them read articles and books all the time about the philosophy of fundraising. But the main thing and why an alumni committee is so successful and why it's so important for our program is because people give to people. People sign up for endurance events because of people, and the reason why fundraising works so well with peer-to-peer is because of that. The next quote, which is, people give to people and not to organizations. Now, I'm not saying that people don't give to Smile Train if an individual doesn't ask them, but the gift that somebody gives to one of you guys is so much more meaningful and is a much easier ask. They say that an organization has to ask anywhere between, I believe it's, the stat is anywhere between 100 to 150 times for a cold contact, somebody that's not heard of Smile Train before. And a peer-to-peer person only has to ask 4 times for a person to give. So it's a lot easier for us to raise money through a peer-to-peer program. And it's a huge thing across the board. So as you can see, there's tons of nonprofits raising money in the peer-to-peer sector, and that's walks, endurance programs, we have bike races, people that do walkathons like the Relay for Life program or the Avon Walkathon, or anything along those lines. And then kind of these other stats I put below is from Network for Give. And Network for Give is it's actually a fundraising site that people use to, it's actually using CrowdRise, and they cut out checks to the charity, and they did a poll and why people give. And so if you look at this and kind of scan through some of these things, they want to feel a part of something. Somebody told them a story and they felt motivated. Somebody asked them. They want to feel, I think this is cheesy, but hip. They want to be hip and supporting this charity. people give and want to be a part of things for different reasons, and that's why we need such a diverse fundraising committee, and that's why we have the individuals that we have. Everybody brings something to the table, and that's how we're going to grow, and that's how we're going to continue to have such a great program. So, as I alluded to in the beginning, we have more events, and more, which would equal more people, but more events plus more people to equal the same quality of service. Well, that's a really hard equation. And really, the only way we're able to do that is if we add more alumni ambassadors to really help the program. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the quality of our ambassadors stays strong, and that everybody has the same time commitment and the same passion for Smile Train. Everybody has different strengths and abilities, and we really appreciate that, but we want everyone to have that same goal of providing excellent customer service. And I think that's really what our ambassadors did so well this year. So that leads into who we're looking for. As I said, there's no one fits all. We really want people that are passionate about Smile Train. I'm kind of scanning through the list right now of people that are on this webinar tonight. And, there's one individual who I know actually had a cleft. And then there's a couple people that, really had no connection to Smile Train, and it was a way into Ironman Arizona. And here you are tonight thinking about committing a whole year in terms of being an ambassador for Smile Train. So it's pretty incredible. Someone that loves endurance sports, we are out there promoting, and a lot of what we do is sales and marketing. We hook people by giving them this coveted entry into a race, but then we really engage them by telling them what Smile Train does. And the other thing we're looking for is somebody that wants to help others fundraise. So yes, of course, we want you guys to fundraise and to continue to support Smile Train, but what we're really looking for are individuals who are willing to go and talk with their network of people and their group of individuals that they are basically mentoring and helping them meet their fundraising goals. So it's a really neat opportunity. It's kind of the insider view of what myself, Lindsay, and Christina get to do every day, and helping people reach their goals. The perks of being an ambassador. These are some just perks that come along with it. The Ambassador Summit. I think what I'm going to do is have Gloria talk about the Ambassador Summit, if you're okay with that, Gloria.
Yeah. Cool. So this past year, what we were able to do as ambassadors was go to New York, and we sat around basically talking about strategy and different things that we would like to see the direction of our Smile Train Team Empower go. And essentially it was, if I'm thinking correctly, I believe it was a 3-day summit.
Mm-hmm.
So we all kind of sporadically came in due to some weather conditions, but most of us made it. Some of us didn't make it, but we spent a lot of time really thinking about what we really liked that Smile Train Team Empower had, and a lot of time on what do we really need to improve on that would make our experience and your experience most enjoyable and beneficial. Being a mostly virtual team, the biggest challenge, as you guys know, is keeping people interested and involved. And so we had a lot of ambassadors who come from very different backgrounds and have phenomenal experience. So it was really, really beneficial to be able to go to the summit and basically be able to kind of strategize the next year. So it was very planned out for the weekend, and it also gave us ambassadors kind of a way to connect with each other and use each other as resources. So we all have different specialties, and so when one ambassador needed maybe a different specialty resource for some of their participants, then we were able to call on each other to be able to um, help participants out. But all around, I would say a necessary part of being ambassador is either is the summit. Being able to be a part of that summit was a really great kind of kickstart to our really great season.
Awesome. Thanks,
Did
Gloria.
I do a good job?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I put you on the spot. I put you on the spot. Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I would add to that is that kind of the benefit of meeting the other Smile Train staff and, hearing about from Brazil. We had someone Skype in, and we had another woman who oversees the Philippines Skype in and was actually at the hospital, and they got to see the kids come out of the surgery, which was pretty cool. But it's a great bonding experience, and it's it as you said, it kicked off our whole season. So we did everything from role playing about all the situations that our participants have, and I think if we went back and looked at all those role playing situations, I think all the ambassadors received those questions like from participants. I sent out an email, and I can't I haven't received a donation. I don't know what to do. Um, all these questions that we get all the time, we threw those back to the ambassadors and really, in a sense, train them on how to answer that and how to figure out how to get you past that hurdle. Um, so definitely something we want everybody to attend. We haven't planned it yet. I mean, we've started to plan it, but we haven't put down a date because we want to get some new people on board, and then we will push out the dates, but most likely beginning of March. And that is an all expenses paid trip, and so we budget that in. And yes, it's an expense. However, we really this is an investment for the program, and it helps us to raise more money and retain more people. We saw a huge increase in alumni signing up again for 2016. And we have a lot of great new things because of the alumni. So another perk is that you get race entry into any Ironman or 70.3 for 2016. Some ambassadors took us up on that. Some ambassadors said, you know what, I'm not racing this year. I'm going to do, a couple of sprints and, just lay off Ironman for a year. Some ambassadors pushed their complimentary entry for 2016, so you could push it to 2017, but it's just kind of another perk. One reason we do that is we do get complimentary entries from Ironman, but we also want you guys to focus on training and teaching your group of participants to fundraise. And we, of course, want you to fundraise, but the main focus is to help your participants and to do some other things that we'll go through in a little bit. And as Gloria really stressed in the summit, the opportunity to contribute ideas to Team Empower. Can't promise that we'll be able to implement all the ideas, but it's definitely something that we can work towards. And we really kind of give a clear picture on, what we're able to do and how it works from the inside. We're definitely limited sometimes with our different partnerships, but it's kind of a sneak preview on what happens behind the scenes. And then you get some cool swag. You saw our ambassadors and their jackets and all that stuff. And so you get a jacket, and there'll be another item for next year, which is always a perk. Everybody loves the swag. So I asked 2 of our ambassadors to come prepared. I put Gloria on the spot, um, but kind of asked them to kind of give their perspective on what it was like to be an ambassador. And this picture is from the Alumni Summit in New York City. It was the day or 2 days after the big snowstorm. So it was definitely cold outside, and those jackets came in handy. So I am going to throw it over to John. Why don't you kick us off?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start by lowering the expectations. I don't know what I prepared tonight, but I'll talk about my year as an ambassador, and I did start with the Alumni Summit, which was really cool, and one of the, I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but the big thing we saw was some kids post-surgery with the doctor and their parents, and it was pretty amazing. Where were they at? And Sarah, do you remember?
The Philippines. Yep.
Yeah, they were in the Philippines, and it was a great way to set the tone to say, like, all this work that you're putting in and helping our athletes raise funds as well as get through this race goes towards that. And it was great to see that, and it really set the tone for moving forwards for the year. I'm located in Chicago, so a lot of my year focused around the Chicago Marathon and some Chicago Marathon participants. That included Lindsay from Smile Train, ran her first marathon this year, which was pretty cool. But I want to say, in terms of stuff we did over the year, was monthly meetings where we talked to our athletes and help them with their fundraising, as well as try to bring up ideas what we could implement and help Sarah and Lindsay and now Christina out with their goals. So as soon as they ask stuff for us, we try to help them with that as well. But I think the main stuff was the fundraising aspect and trying to talk to athletes. You'll find it's initially very hard because athletes sometimes won't respond to you, but you just keep trying and trying, and eventually they'll come around and say, okay, I need help with fundraising, I haven't done anything yet, or what do I need to do to get in the water for a swim, all sorts of great questions. And then it finished out with the race in Arizona, or for me, the race in Chicago. This year, Sarah was out in Hawaii, so Jordan, my wife, and I helped volunteer at the expo, and that was quite the weekend. We had 28 athletes, or maybe almost 30 athletes competing in Chicago, and next year hoping for a bigger group, and we'll go from there. Anything else you want me to touch on for that?
No, it's great to have you talk because you really helped with another one of our events, and we have a lot of people that are coming from us from Ironman Arizona, so kind of maybe talking through what happened in Chicago and what you helped with on event weekend.
Sure. So Lindsay was able to carry in many, many boxes that were shipped out from New York, some out of the expo. And then we met her on Friday afternoon, and we manned the expo booth. We greeted potential athletes for next year, folks donating funds to Smile Train. A lot of people come by the expo booth with questions, and you have to explain what the charity does and where the fundraising goes towards. Also, then Saturday we did a breakfast here in Chicago at Ditka's. So I helped Sarah and Lindsay plan for that. It was a really nice brunch where all the athletes and their families came. We had some speeches from the coach, from some of the athletes. One of the athletes that I worked with was Borman Clef, and that was kind of interesting to talk with him more, and he had a personal connection to the charity. And then Sunday for race day, we again volunteered on Saturday all day, which was a fun day. It was seeing Lindsay excited to race, and then Sunday we had the race day where we were out cheering, followed by an after party, which was a lot of fun. So it was a busy weekend, but it was great seeing our athletes hitting their goals, plus seeing them at the finish.
Awesome. And last thing I'd like you to comment on was what was one of your favorite moments of being an ambassador, whether it was an email that you got or a race experience or anything.
I think for me, like this year at the finish line at Arizona, we had quite a group of alumni that were back with us or folks that finished the race and trying to we saw one of our ambassadors, Lisa Potter, finish the race. We all got to be there to cheer her in, and we were behind the I guess in the VIP area, which was awesome. We got to see her kids give her a hug, and I got to take pictures the whole time, and it was amazing just seeing her finish as we were cheering her for the entire way, but also seeing some other athletes finish at that real close to 12 o'clock hour. And Jordan, my wife, got to hand out these boomsticks, which was really cool. She really enjoyed that, and just that amount of energy that was there. And then turn around time the next day to try to get people to sign up. Um, it was quite the day. I think that was the big highlight of the year.
Good to hear. And you're coming back for more.
Yes, I'm planning on racing in Arizona next year, but helping out with Chicago is the plan.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Matt.
Yes, I'm still here. Hello, everybody. I know you guys won't respond to me, but I'll try not to rehash too much of what John just said. But I got involved with Smile Train as initially, just because it was an entry into Arizona. And then halfway through the process of training and preparing for Arizona, Sarah and Lindsay ended up coming on board with Smile Train. There was a little bit of change of guard at Smile Train, and my experience once they came on board, both before and during the race, kind of what Sarah was saying in terms of making the athletes feel special. I mean, that's the way I felt. And I wanted to try and give back to the program, and that was really kind of the big reason when Sarah approached me about the ambassadors, why I was interested in participating in it. So I jumped at the chance. I didn't really think twice about it, and I've had an amazing experience ever since. Part of my role, many of my athletes have not been Arizona athletes, although I did have a group of Arizona athletes. I've had athletes from Escape from Alcatraz, triathlon, a couple from Chicago, and then some that are participating in the London Marathon. And so my athletes have been kind of spread across, I guess, the nation and the world, if you will, including Arizona. And that's been an interesting experience, being able to communicate and meet with different people from all walks of life, whatever race that they're doing, and trying to help them with the questions that they have had. Certainly as races have come up, some groups are a little bit more anxious about their fundraising than others. London is still a bit ways away, and certainly there's a big push for Arizona as that came up. And so there's a lot of focus on that. So, and kind of reiterate what John said, some people respond and then some don't, and some people don't respond. I will say that, initially during Arizona, we had a dinner together, and Sarah asked the question, what was our favorite part of being on the ambassador team? And initially, that response went back to the summit that we had in New York City, and it was just more of a fun experience that we met out in Central Park on the morning. It was about 18 degrees out, and 4 of us ended up running 13 miles when we were only planning on running 2. And a couple people from Southern California out there weren't used to that weather, so that was a really fun experience. However, I will say that has now changed since having gone through Arizona as an ambassador. One of my athletes who came on board a little bit late in the game with Smile Train was from Ohio. So I'm from Ohio. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And there's very few athletes around here doing any of the races, especially Arizona, because many of them are from Arizona or Southern California or those parts. And this guy, in terms of fundraising, he called me immediately after I sent him an email that Lindsay told me that he was on my list, and I ended up talking to him for about 45 minutes, and then didn't hear back from him because of some other communication issues until probably about 2 weeks before Arizona. We talked a lot more, and then we got out to the race, and he actually somewhat it was interesting to watch him go through the same process that I went through the year before and be there to kind of help him out as best I could. And then see all the athletes that I was working with finish. And one of them I actually met while I was on the race, who passed me, which was we actually met and talked as he passed me on the race. So that was kind of cool too. So I would say now my experience, my favorite part of being upon the ambassador team was actually being at that race and seeing everybody finish and meeting the individuals face to face and trying to help them out as best I could at that race, not just with their fundraising. So that was kind of the highlight of my experience thus far. I would say also in terms of my experiences, I've really tried to get my family involved with the process. My wife came out to Arizona with me and also volunteered as well, so that was really fun. And she's actually kind of been hooked on a little bit, and now we have our daughter's Girl Scout troop. And Sarah, I don't think you know this yet, but they have decided that they want to use the Smile Train fundraiser as their event that they're doing. They decided that on Saturday. So they've already started raising money, and we've got those donation boxes that Christina sent. So we might be asking for more of that stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Great perspective and great experience. Both John and Matt have. They both involved their family and both also worked on different events. Ironman Arizona is our largest event, but we are trying to make our program more diverse and have running events like London Marathon and Chicago Marathon. We also have the New York City Half in March, 70.3 Tremblant, and yes, Kona, the World Championship, which I was at this year. It's a very high fundraising minimum of $50,000, and we had 3 people doing it. And then Arizona, and the Berlin Marathon. So we definitely need help. And we also have another kind of arm of our program, the Choose Your Own Event program. And that's actually how one of you got into the program. Also, Amanda, who's on the call, she picked an event that she wanted to do and signed up and fundraised with us. And we really encourage anybody who's doing any event to fundraise with us. And what we want to do is kind of expand that support so that they feel like they're part of the team, even though they might just be doing an event on their own. And then eventually kind of funnel them into one of our larger events, which is what we did with Amanda, throwing you under the bus again. She signed up for her first Ironman for 2016. So responsibilities. We talked about the perks. We talked about what we're looking for. Gave you some of the highlights of what it's like to be an ambassador. Now I really want to kind of dive into the responsibilities. We will keep this call to an hour, so want to definitely leave some time for questions. So responsibilities, what it means to be an ambassador. So what we expect from Smile Train is really for these ambassadors to open doors and recruit. And what that really means is opening up your network, opening up doors in your own community. A lot of you talked about in your application about different local groups that you might be able to match Smile Train with. Matt's a perfect example of, it doesn't even have to be Team Empower related. We want you to be really spreading Smile Train in any way you can. Obviously, Team Empower is our first priority, but if it works out that Smile Train with the Girl Scout troop works better, that's awesome. And at the end, it's all going to the same place. So recruiting, the responsibility kind of lies on whether it's recruiting your friend or going to a local tri club meeting, maybe going to a race. We'll kind of go into some more detail about that in a minute. Being an ambassador, it's kind of cheesy, but it's being an ambassador, being knowledgeable about Smile Train. And that's one of the main reasons we have this summit. It's not only for you guys to get to know each other, but we as an organization have the responsibility to educate you on what Smile Train does, what the mission is, where the dollars are going, the different programs that we have. We had one of the heads of our Smile Train Express, which is a computer system that all the different surgeons throughout the entire world will upload a before picture of the child, and then immediately after the surgery upload the after. And then his job through this system is to go through and approve them. And once they get approved, at the end of the month, that hospital gets cut a grant check for those surgeries. So really neat stuff that we want to educate you guys on, and also how to answer those questions. You're not going to remember everything. We as staff can't possibly answer every single question, but we want you to be knowledgeable on how to answer something that you might not know the answer to, where to go to get the answer, who to talk to at the organization. It's not always going to be me. It's not always going to be Lindsay. It's not always going to be Christina. So we want you to meet the Smile Train staff. The president of the organization, Susie Schaefer, came to the summit and hung out with us. We do dinners and lunch together. As Matt talked about, there was a run. Gloria and I went on our own little adventure on the run. So, there's lots of bonding time as well, and we're in New York City. Hopefully we'll continue with the 60-degree weather, which will make someone who just lived in Florida for a year very happy, like me. But to go back to the responsibilities is to cultivate and engage. And that's really kind of what Matt and John were starting to talk about, is reaching out to your participants. You'll be assigned participants based on where you live. And your role as an ambassador is to get those people more involved with Smile Train, make them fall in love with Smile Train, help them with the fundraising, but also help them with really understanding what Smile Train is. And then the 10,000 give gap. So don't freak out. What this means is we want to set the bar. And what a give get is, it's really across all committees and boards. We want you to have a goal of 10,000. And here's how you can get to that 10,000. Obviously, you can give 10,000. You can recruit people. So if you are out recruiting and you get 2 friends to sign up for Ironman Arizona, that's 10,000. You can help us get a sponsorship. You can get an in-kind donation where we would have had to spend money. Say it's a team dinner where we might have had to spend $2,000, $5,000, and you can get it underwritten, or you can have the restaurant donate a portion of it. That would go towards it. You can put the 10,000 together any of those ways. We're not asking for your credit card for this. We're not holding you. We are holding you accountable, but what we want to do is have a baseline and where the expectations are. And also for you to be able to say to your employer, to your family and friends, this is what I'm responsible for doing. And we'll keep track on our end, but I know that a lot of the ambassadors have really kind of already hit this. They went way above and beyond last year just by the recruitment alone, if you think about it. So that kind of taps into that responsibility. So the next one, communication expectations. These are kind of the housekeeping, boring expectations, but something we want to just say up front. First one is for the ambassadors to communicate with us. Everybody has a different style. everybody has a lot of things going on different times of day. But what we want to do, and it will really be kicked off once we get to the summit, is provide excellent communication between the ambassadors and staff. And we have the ambassadors provide us with feedback. Sometimes it's weekly, depending on how close we are getting to the event. Sometimes it's monthly, depending on how far away we are. But really just making sure that we are getting feedback from the ambassadors about their participants. And as Matt and John kind of mentioned, sometimes you don't hear from any of your participants, and some of you are probably laughing right now on the call saying, yeah, I ignored my ambassador for a little while. And we train you guys to have that expectation that you will send lots of emails, and then at the end, they will say, thank you so much for sending all those emails. They really helped me, even though I didn't respond. So just kind of teaching the expectations and how this all plays out, and communicating when there is a problem or there is something amazing happening, and letting us know what's going on. We really trust with the ambassadors having these relationships with our participants, and we want them to really own the relationships so that everyone gets more involved with Smile Train. So this is probably going to be a lot of information, so please don't stress out about this. This is just a general outline of how you can contribute to Smile Train and kind of give you more perspective on what we're looking for. Ambassadors have a goal of 250 points. Obviously, that is in line with our every $250 goes to provide one smile. And we also know that not everything that ambassadors do will be on here, and we hope to just kind of continue to add to this list. But it's really a way for ambassadors to provide us with support. It's not all about fundraising. A lot of this is volunteering time and energy and ideas. We know that if you have the same staff year after year, yes, you can continue to provide a great experience, but if you don't have those outside perspectives, you're not going to get to that next level. So with this point system in place, obviously we really stress coming to the annual summit, attending our monthly meetings. We hold a meeting once a month. We really work with everybody's schedule. It's very rare that we don't have full attendance, but we will send out notes and all that stuff, but it's kind of a call like this. But we have everyone talking, and it's not just me. And then the next one I want Gloria to touch on, because she did a ton of recruitment on behalf of Smile Train. So kind of just to touch on the first one, it's referring friends to the program. Obviously, that's very simple and what a lot of you guys have already done. But where we really, take the education that we gave from the summit and entrust into our ambassadors is kind of what Gloria kind of became a pro at, from volunteering at Ironman Texas to now I'm forgetting which half it was, Silverman or
Lake Stevens.
Lake Stevens. Yep. So you want to chat a little bit about that and kind of what your responsibility was?
Yeah, so the first expo that I went to volunteer at was with Lindsay and Scott. He came over from Arizona, and so we had a couple of us there, and Noah was also there as an ambassador. And essentially, the Texas setup was it was at the expo, and basically what we're trying to do at those expo events is spread the word out that Arizona has is available. We have charity entries because, as you guys know, Arizona is sold out. So the big sell is you get a free entry if you sign up with Smile Train, and your entry is included in your fundraising. And it's, as far as the recruitment goes, it's all about the way you try to sell um, the program. And a lot of people are like, well, you know, what is this charity? What do you guys do? And so um, it's the way you explain it, how passionate you are about what you are trying to sell is so incredibly important. And the event that Texas was in, I want to say May, so it was far enough out to where we could really get people saying, you know what, this is your first Ironman. You got, let's see, June, July, August, September, October, November. You got 6 months basically to raise this money. And the second expo that I worked, I live in Portland, so I drove up to Lake Stevens, Washington. I set up the expo myself, a smaller setup, um, and but it was much closer to the event. That one was August, so you're getting people who are basically, this is their first half Ironman, and it was still far enough out to where you could sell doing basically a full Ironman. They were already trained, um, and one of the things we did was run a special to help kind of stimulate some interest in the booth. So I made a couple signs. I believe that weekend it was, well, for Texas, I think we offered an Xterra wetsuit and one free night hotel stay if you signed up that weekend, but you have to sign up that weekend. And then Lake Stevens, we ran a discount where you had to fundraise $3,500 instead of $5,000 minimum. And we got definitely interests from and signups from even Lake Stevens, who went on to raise more than $3,500, and that is kind of comes in the communication with your participants as far as, you know, don't just reach for the minimum. You guys have so much more potential to be able to make a difference in the lives of these kids. And so I guess the biggest thing really is making sure that you can recruit, whether it's at local events, the Smile Train recruitment events. So if you have a local event that you think could get a lot of interest, Smile Train can send you materials like they did for me with Lake Stevens, and you can go set up your own booth and go do that. And it's always helpful if you have help with you. The more the better. That way you can spread more awareness. But I had a lot of fun, and definitely the biggest thing was I thought you couldn't get into Ironman Arizona. It's sold out. And so it was a good talking point to a lot of people.
Awesome. Thanks, Gloria. So yeah, it's, you know, the responsibilities are really vary, and it varies on your time and what you can really offer to the program. So the event support, volunteering for Ironman Arizona. I think a lot of you guys felt that support and saw a lot of the ambassadors there to answer questions at the expo booth. It's a lot of work, and this was the first year we had those ambassadors there, and we put them to work. I'll say that. I think everyone on the call can attest to that. And as you see, John was in Chicago and we put him to work that weekend. And there's other events across the country. So that event support is huge. It saves us money to not send staff all over the country, because then we can be doing other things as well. So we can just be bigger and bigger. Fundraising obviously is a component of it that we just talked about before. And then the fundraising support, hosting a webinar for the team, just little things like that, not little things, but just things like that can really build our success. We need lots of different ideas and different ways to help engage people. We're no longer in the days of sending welcome packets of fundraising lists from A to Z. We need to make sure that we're really accommodating to what people are looking for. And since we are basically an international program, but also we have people from around the country, we need to make sure that we are putting together a program that meets the needs of someone that lives in Florida and New York and Colorado and Nebraska and Washington. And that's where you guys come into play. And then marketing and sponsorship. We really are just tapping into community partners like Xterra and Basalt and getting discounts for our athletes. We do not have any financial sponsorship yet. So really people helping us to open the door with some companies. And that's something we'll definitely focus on during the summit. But even things like ad placements or news articles. Those are things we really want to start to expand on in 2016. So I actually want to see if Dave, who's on the call as well as one of our alumni, wants to jump in to add anything. He was on our earlier one this afternoon. So Dave, did I forget anything, or is there anything else that you want to add?
I don't think you forgot anything. I just want to point out, like I said to the group earlier today, when you look at all these points, you think, the minimum's 250, and you look at the $10,000, you really will be surprised how fast and easy it is to start racking up the points or the money. And I say that because you start attending the events, you start having fun, and you start wanting to interact with the group more and more. And you start to look forward to, the email updates, the phone calls, helping out at the events. And with Ironman, all over the country, there's going to be events that you either, you're already racing it, so swing by, help out at the booth for a little bit, or it's, in your local area, you just want to go help out. So it's not that hard to do, and you'll be surprised how much fun you'll have doing it as well. The recruitment piece, something I pointed out for the group last time was when you work inside the booth, there's an expectation management that's happening right there, and people are going to come up, and they know that you're trying to sell them on a slot or something. But as an ambassador, you really get to see it from a different perspective. You learn so much about the company or about the organization that you can speak very intelligently about it. And then you're an athlete in the same event as these people that are racing. So when they go to the booth, they're expecting, that type of exchange. But when you bump into them at the registration table while you're filling out your emergency contact form, and you ask them, what races they've done, you start talking, and then you start telling them, about this great experience you have with Smile Train. It really opens up the door, and that was probably one of my favorite parts this season, was being able to kind of have a reason to engage people at the expos and just learn, their story. I met a lot of athletes that way. I had a lot of fun. Bumped into a lot of athletes I met that way at later events. When went to USAT Nationals, I had friends at the race that I had met while recruiting for Smile Train at Lake Placid. Or the same thing, Amanda and I got to have dinner with a couple at the World Championships in Austria that we met discussing Smile Train earlier in the day. So really good way to just get to know other athletes in the community, and at the same time help out way more children than you would have helped out if you were just fundraising on your own. because every person you recruit, I mean, you can look at that as, upwards of 20 smiles depending on the event. And then every person you mentor is another 20 smiles, and then every person they recruit is another 20 smiles. And before long, you realize that you're doing great things, and you're also meeting all the expectations that Sarah and the crew are looking for. So just something to think about when you're looking at all these numbers on the screen.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so the numbers aren't to scare you, and they're not to kind of pick at different things, but they're really to kind of show you what we're looking for in terms of support from the ambassadors. These are really the buckets, and then under each bucket, there's so many different ways that you can help with that. And we're looking to you guys for some ideas. So with that, next steps. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for getting on the call tonight. Want to see if you guys have any questions. You can chat me in the chat box. While I have the ambassadors here on the call, they can answer any of your questions. No, it's just an excellent presentation, and everybody understands what they're in for. Or you're multitasking, trying to save the world and do a million things at once. Either way. Oh, we have one question. So we just asked if we want to set up a booth at an event, will you provide material? So yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what we really encouraged with our ambassadors, that if they had an event in their own community or they're going to, we'll definitely send you all of the materials. And as Dave and Gloria kind of both hit on, we'll give you the talking points on what to say to people and kind of what you need at an event. Next question. How many athletes do each ambassadors have on their list? So that varies for each ambassador and different times of the year. Like example, Matt has the whole London Marathon team right now. And so that's about 20-ish people. I think if we've given you the UK people too, it's about 26. And he had a handful of Arizona people, and he had some Alcatraz people. So as people are coming off an event, what we try to do is put people out in terms of their location, but that doesn't always work. So as we have smaller events, we've tried just having one ambassador, but we really want, pie in the sky is that you have participants that are, in your own backyard. That's not always going to happen, but that's kind of what we're looking for, at least in terms of regions. So you manage anywhere between, I would say, 8 to 10, and then max, depending on season and where you live, it could be 20 to 25. But I think ambassadors can agree or disagree with me that really just the bulk of your communication comes the last 3 weeks before the event, in really what you're managing. The question came up, what type of partnerships are we looking for with companies? Without taking too much time tonight, we're looking for financial sponsorship to really cover a lot of our costs, or to get a deeper discount. We do get discounts, but the tri-kits are a big cost for us. They're really important to show that we have this team, but there's some fixed costs that we can't change, like our partnership fees with the races and all that. So anywhere where we can get that price either completely gone or lower is huge. So we'll go over that in more detail. But tri-kits, discounts for our athletes, having companies get into companies and doing corporate teams, having companies do challenge fundraising. Do we have a list of events that you have or having a booth at that we could potentially sign up to help with in advance? Yes. So we're putting that together for 2016. We've already purchased, within our contract for Ironman, for 70.3 California and Ironman Texas. But what we kind of are going to do for 2016 is kind of put together a list of all the races that we would love to be at, and then based on ambassador schedules, we can add more. Cool. So, reading through, making sure. Cool. So if there's not any more questions, those were great questions. If you have more questions or you don't want to chat about it right now because you want to go to bed, or at least East Coast people do, please feel free to reach out to myself, Lindsay, or Christina, and also to any of the ambassadors. I will follow up in an email tomorrow morning and give you all the ambassadors' emails so you can reach out to them. And then also, Dave just reminded me that if you're on Facebook, Jeff Krebs is Jay Scott and Dave is Dave Muddy. So if you are looking for people on Facebook, you can definitely find everybody there. We are going to make our final decisions on Monday, December 21st. So if you want to chat about anything, or if any of this seems overwhelming, or you're like, this is for me, Sarah, count me in, I really hope that you'll accept me, let me know that too, so that we know that we're all on the same page. I will follow up with all of you, but just want to thank you again for being a part of our team. Whether you decide to continue on as an ambassador or you continue on as a participant, you guys have done so much for our organization, and we were so successful this year because of you guys. So thank you guys so much for your time, and we will talk to you guys soon.